we can connect SalesIQ, your live chat and visitor tracking engagement tool, with your email campaigns, whether it is Zoho Campaigns or any other email campaign service like MailChimp and so on. We're going to see how the tracking works. We're going to see what are the benefits from that and other things. Let me mention at the outset that I will be taking questions at the end, but that doesn't mean you have to wait till the end of the webinar to send your questions. You can start sending them at any point of time, but I will be able to answer them towards the end after the webinar completes. Do note that we will answer all the questions and our responses will be shown to all of you. So you can see the question as well as the answer. So things that didn't come to your mind but was brought up by somebody else, you will be able to read all of them. So thank you once again for joining us today, and let's dive right into our agenda today. So like we discussed, our objective behind this webinar is to use this knowledge of integrating SalesIQ with different email campaign services to boost the sales and the subsequent revenue that you get from all those visitors who have been converted as your customers. So we are just going to go over the agenda for today to see what specific areas we will be looking into. The first one, of course, is a very brief initiation for those of you who haven't used email campaigns or do not know what it is used for. If you haven't used it already, this is high time to know what it is and get started using it. And of course, the main benefit of integrating SalesIQ to your email campaigns is going to be the focus of our discussion today. And we're going to look exactly how to set up this integration, what steps needed to be done. And if you don't have Zoho Campaigns, or if you prefer using another non-Zoho application, we are going to see how to connect SalesIQ with that. We're also going to see which email campaign services are supported. And just to throw you a hint, all the major services are already supported, but we will be looking at them. And a new feature that was introduced to SalesIQ a few months ago, using the chat window to allow visitors to your website or your landing page or any new release that you're making. So all the chat windows there can be used to allow people to sign up with their consent. And we're going to see how that works, how that system flows, and how it's going to be deployed. Of course, when we have integrated email campaigns to SalesIQ, obviously the objective is to see the visitors from those email campaigns on your website from SalesIQ and see what they are doing. So we are going to see how exactly we are going to look at those visitors, how to separate them from the regular traffic your website gets so you don't confuse or mix them both up. And we're going to see how to look at this information from the archives, from the visitor history section, long after those visitors have left. We're going to see how to compare the traffic between one email campaign you sent out and another one that was sent much later to see the impact each one of them has had. Because without knowing how your previous email campaigns have worked, you may not be well equipped to launch new ones. So those will be the focus areas we're going to look at in the next 30 minutes. So what is an email marketing system? For those of you completely unfamiliar with that, here's a brief definition for you. It's nothing but a very quick and an easy way to reach any existing customers that you have. So you can send them information about what new updates you have, what new developments you have, future releases that you're planning, and so on. You're going to be able to show them all of that. And in the case of new customers or potential customers, you will be able to induce them to visit your website again. You're going to encourage them to purchase new offerings and so on. So email campaigns is not focused on just the existing customers that you have or the new ones. It can be used to target both of them. And basically, what it does is think of it as a pamphlet that people give to you when you walk into a mall or any other shopping area. It's a flyer. You look at it, if you find the information on it important or interesting enough, you're going to proceed or further by contacting the person and signing up. Email campaigns work in the same way, except it's digitized. So the question that obviously comes up is, are email campaigns effective? And why is it any better than other marketing methods that are available? So you can see some statistics on the screen right here. You can look at the staggering number of email accounts that is currently present in the world. Just so you know, that 2013 data of 3.9 billion has now grown by almost a billion to 4.7 billion uh, email accounts in 2016. And in 2017, it has added another 200 million visitors. So, on an average, you're seeing anywhere between 200 to 300 million email accounts being created every year. That's a huge number. Just to put things in perspective, all of Facebook has a little less than 2 billion users. So you have nearly 5 billion users on different email services, and you have about less than $2 billion on Facebook. Everybody else, every other social media app is far behind. Most of them are very far from even the billion mark. So you can look at how impressive these figures are. And the other important thing is its coverage on mobile devices. Visitors to your websites increasingly are coming from mobile devices. And visitors are increasingly using mobile devices as a substitute for their computer and their laptop. So they check out their emails from these services, from these different mobile devices, sometimes tablets. So it makes sense to continue using email campaigns because they have evolved to work or rather orient themselves on mobile devices as well. Of course, the return of investment figures that you're looking at is staggering, to say the least, because the amount of time that you put in creating an email campaign, the amount of money that you spend, on an average, it costs just about $5 to $10 to send out about 2,500 emails. Imagine, less than $10 to reach out to 2,500 visitors. So even if 10% of them come to your website, that's still a staggering 250 visitors. So that's a lot of visitors, and the conversion rate from each one of them will still be high. So your investment into getting them to your website is just $5 or $10, but the revenue that you get from that is much, much more. So there's a small animation that you need to take a careful look at. It just shows what email campaigns do. So I'm just going to let it play a couple of times so you can take a look. So you can see this person sending out email campaigns. People look at that, and footfall to that store has increased. So let's go again. The person has decided to send out email campaigns to arrest the decline in sales. The emails start going out as the animation shows, and more people start coming to the website. It's pretty simple. You just reach out, and the better the content is, the more engaging your emails are, the better chances of success it has. So that's how email campaigns work. So I hope all those of you who have never used an email campaign before now know what it does and will consider using it. So now that we know what email campaigns are, we're going to look at how we're going to connect two different apps. SalesIQ, and Zoho Campaigns. So I'm going to demonstrate that by going to our test account here. So we have a SalesIQ account. As soon as you log into your SalesIQ account, just go to settings, integrations, the last option on the top. You will find Zoho Campaigns listed somewhere here because in this case I've already integrated it, so it's listed up top. So what you would do is you would just click this box that says Zoho Campaigns, and you will have an option in the center of the screen. I can actually show that to you. Let me disable it, and you can see that this application is listed below now. So I'm going to click that, and I'm just going to enable it. Done. So as you can see, the banner on the top indicates that the integration has been set up successfully. You don't have to worry about anything else. All these things are automatically set up. You just need to click a single button to set up your integration with Zoho Campaigns. Once that is done, again, you don't have to look into all these things. These are all default settings. You don't have to change any of them. There is another thing that we need to look at here. I will come back to that. But for the time being, integrating SalesIQ to Zoho Campaigns is done at the click of a single button. That's it. So before that, let me show you how you're going to deploy SalesIQ on email campaigns. Setting up the integration with Zoho Campaigns is step one. So step two will be actually to insert SalesIQ's tracking code into Zoho Campaigns. We're going to look at that now. So here you're looking at the Zoho Campaigns dashboard on the screen, the home page. And I'm just going to create a new email campaign as a demonstration. So bear with me. So I'm just filling it up with something. You, of course, have to pay a lot more attention to make sure that the correct information is filled up. So now that I've chosen, or rather input the basic information, I'm now going into the content that's going to be there in the emails. So Zoho Campaigns allows you to either type out a simple plain text email or choose something fancy. So I'm just going to go with something fancy because it's also easy to explain. So just choosing a template, any template. So it's just loading up. So you can see all of them here. There's a lot of email campaigns here. So many of them are for different occasions. So let me choose, yeah, let me choose something like this without a particular theme. So here you have an email campaign with a certain theme. So you're just going to edit all the content, add your own website's content here. So normally what you do is you add a link to your website. So something like this. So what's supposed to happen is when this email is opened, you would prefer that somebody clicks this button because after reading through everything, they would want to click that. And once they do, it's supposed to take them to a certain part on your website. So that's what is supposed to happen. So let's say you want them to go to, this is a demo website. So let's say you want them to go to the purchase page of your website so they can see something and buy. So I'm just going to copy this URL from this demo website. Normally what you would do is you just click the button, and you try to add a link. So the link, once clicked, will take the person to that website. Sorry. Sorry, let me go back. So I'm just going to go back and choose a template. Okay, this was that. All right. So we have the email campaign template here, and the shop now button is there. So I've already copied the code, so I'm just going to insert that into this one. So I'm just going to click this little link here. I'm just going to zoom in. So you can see this button here that has the word link written on it. This is what binds a URL to a piece of text or a button on your website. So I'm just going to click that, and I'm going to enter my website's URL. This is what you normally do. But the difference here is when you want to integrate SalesIQ or any email campaign service to the email, you would instead use a tracking link that's generated from the email campaign service. So in this case, we are talking about Zoho Campaigns first. So you click Zoho Campaigns and you scroll down to the bottom of the page where you see this line that says learn how to identify visitors coming to your website from the email campaigns that were sent. And you need to click show. And this is the crucial number 2 step. So after you've enabled SalesIQ's integration with Zoho Campaigns, you have to then insert the tracking link that SalesIQ generates into each of the links on your emails so that when visitors click them, they will be identified. So I'm just going to enter the same URL from this page here. So instead of directly entering it on the email campaigns like you normally do, I'm going to enter it here instead. And once done, I'm going to press generate, and if you scroll down, you can see the link that's been generated. So just to show you, you can see this URL here. It's still there in this link. And after that, there's a question mark and a sort of a code has been attached to it. And as you can see, the code has provisions to obtain the first name, last name, and email address of every person who clicks that link. So instead of just pasting the link, I'm going to copy the entire URL here. And first, I'm going to clear this because we're not going to do that. We're going to integrate SalesIQ to Zoho Campaigns. So I'm pasting the whole thing here. So if you just scroll around, sorry about that. The mouse is a little too sensitive today. So going back, I'm just highlighting shop now, and I'm entering the URL that I told you about. So these settings, you can change them whichever way you want. So now click OK. So as you can see, when the email campaign is seen, let me show you. Let me show you a preview. So you can see the email campaign here. This is how it's going to look roughly when it's opened by your recipients on their email services. So once here, you can see the same word shop now is shown, but once I click that, it's going to redirect me to a different place. That is the URL that we entered. So your website visitors will not be able to see any of that here. They're automatically going to click the shop now button. Even the tooltip on that only says shop now. But what happens after that? I mentioned that their first name, last name, and email address will be captured. So how does that system work? And that's what we've recorded here in a video, because sending out an email campaign and then showing it to you is going to take a much longer time. So let me just show you that here. So you can see the email campaign is being opened or rather received on one of the Zoho mail accounts. So let's just assume this person is a recipient, a potential customer. You can see the email is there on the top with the subject webinar test link. So the person is going to click that, and you can see the email that we just created. So they're just going to look at that, and they're going to click whatever link that is there. And as you can see, the link on the top has changed. What we have here is the URL plus first name, last name, and email. These are what's called merge tags, technically. But once somebody clicks that from their email box or inbox, you can see on the top how the URL changes with the person's first name, that's Patricia, last name, that's Boyle, and email address, that's p.boyle@zilum.com. So we have slowed it down. We are pausing the video to show you all of this, but in reality, it quickly changes. You can see as soon as the person comes to the website, it changes to the website's URL. So in this example, you can see how as soon as the visitor visited the website, it has identified their name, it has identified their email address. So you can see all of that here. It's pretty straightforward. So let's see that without slowing it down. So I'm going to play that once again. You can see the email is being opened. The link is being clicked. And watch how quickly the URL changes. Name and email, and that's gone. Probably not more than 2 seconds. That's all it took to capture the person's identity. And when they come to your website on the links, you see them with their name and email, even if they have not been to their website before. But it still works for people who have been to your website before, so there's no problem. And let's say you have a referral program, you send out these emails to your friends and family. All those people who click those email links will still be added to your website, even if they didn't exist in your CRM before. So you can generate all these new leads, even though they were not in your system, by simply having your existing recipients forward them to their friends and family. So apart from that, there's another example I wanted to show you. So the first question that people ask is, okay, so I'm able to send SalesIQ integrated emails from Zoho Campaigns. Fine. What about emails from within my Zoho CRM? So all those of you who have been to the leads or the contacts module here, let's just click a random lead here. As soon as you go here, you can see this option here that says send email. This is one way you directly contact a lead. So let's say you add a lead manually. The person walks into your office, or it's been added over the phone. You want to send them an email. And the email probably has a link. And you want the person to click that link to maybe register or take a look at a webinar or a video. It could be anything. You just want them to come to your website. By adding SalesIQ's tracking link to that email, you will make sure that this person's activities are tracked. So what happens is after the person visits your website, it starts tracking them. So all this tracking related information that you see, the time spent, the pages visited, and this person found out the website from Bing search. And if you scroll down, you can see even more information about the visit. All of this data is only going to come in if SalesIQ data or SalesIQ itself is linked to the email, the emails that you send to leads and contacts. So that's what this video shows. So I'm just going to let this play from the beginning. It's a GIF image, so it has to complete that. So what you do in case of Zoho CRM is you create a template like how it's shown here. So you just go to setup, templates. You can either create a new template and decide whether it should be only for leads or something you send to potentials or something like that, and then you enter your content there. Just an empty email, you know, going to fill up the body later depending on the nature of the conversation. So you usually add something like your email signature, which is what we see in a majority of cases. In this case, I'm just adding a link to make it easy. So I'm just copy pasting the URL that I showed you earlier here, and I'm just going to add my website URL to that. So anybody who is going to click that will be tracked by SalesIQ, even though this email was sent from Zoho CRM. So I'm just going to let that play once more so you can sort of make a note. Do remember that this will only be helpful if you add it as a template. Although there's no compulsion, you should add it as a template. Remember that otherwise, what happens is you need to add this link each time you send an email, and that's going to be tedious. So we recommend saving the link as a template so you can reuse the same template over and over again. And probably what you need to add additionally is just the content. So just playing it one last time here. So it could be your email signature, it could be some promo code, anything that takes people to your website. As long as they click that, they're going to be tracked. That's it. So that's all you need to do. And that's taken care of. So we have seen how SalesIQ is connected to Zoho Campaigns. We have seen how it can be connected to emails sent from Zoho CRM. We're going to see how it's going to be connected to other email campaign services. So we have highlighted a few of them here. MailChimp is there, the most widely used. Active Campaigns and Pronto are also there. If you're using Constant Contact, sorry, even that is covered. So we've just listed about 9 of them, but that doesn't mean this list is exhaustive. There's actually a whole lot more. So if you go to your Sales IQ, you go to integrations, if you scroll down, you can see a section called other applications. And here you will be able to see all the different email campaign services. The first two are different. We have to start looking from Aweber, and you will be able to see all of them here. So many email campaign services are here. Let's say if it's MailChimp, the process is the same thing. Just go in, enable integration just like you did for Zoho Campaigns. And once you enable the link, you will be provided the identifier link so that you can insert to email sent from within Zoho Campaigns, or in this case, MailChimp. So the process is the same. The tracking link would differ depending on which application you're using, but the process of adding it to your email campaign is the exact same thing. It's absolutely no difference. But remember that you need to first enable the integration, and number two, insert the tracking link on all the links in your emails. So I just showed you the example of this button, but if there's anything else, anywhere else that a visitor might click, you need to link that to SalesIQ as well. Otherwise, the entire process would have been a waste of time, because if people click the links without the tracking link on them, they're not going to be tracked with their name. They will still show up on your Sales IQ, but not with their name and email. So that's the important thing. The other thing that I mentioned earlier when we went over the agenda is how we can convert the chat window as a sort of a sign up form so that you can obtain visitors' information, the permission to send them an email or email campaign or a newsletter later. So let's say you have a landing page for a certain marketing promotion. All your email campaigns are going to redirect people to that marketing page. You can add Sales IQ to that landing page so you track people. And then you can make sure that the chat window on that website has a provision to let people sign up for a newsletter. So when they ask you questions about what's on that landing page or any other questions, which is why you have the live there in the first place, you can use that opportunity to contact them in the future. So people who have probably been window shopping, you can have their information and you can contact them later. So this is how the chat window looks with the newsletter sign up activated. It's right there at the bottom. So people normally fill in their name, email address, and so on. You can make those things compulsory or not, that's up to you. The newsletter form is right there. If people are not interested in signing up to receive those emails, they can gladly go ahead and uncheck this checkbox right here and then start the chat. They will not be added to a mailing list. So, how do you enable this? Let me show that to you. So in this case, go to settings, websites. So depending on which website or landing page you're going to make this change, you click that one. So I'm just going to click this one here. And remember, this is the new layout that was introduced a month ago. So for those of you who haven't upgraded from the old version, this is how the new version looks. The looks have been completely updated. So in this case, you click the second module, live chat widget, and it brings up this screen. So I'm going to go here to the left and click chat window and fields here. So here you can see different things and the newsletter form that I told you about. So if you don't want to show it there, you can see on the preview that it's gone. But if it's the first time you're going to go to this place and enable the integration, then this is how it's going to look. So I'm just going to press add. And as soon as I do that, this window pops up. So it allows you to edit the text that you see here. I want to subscribe to your newsletter. So you can type anything else here, anything that would fit inside this chat window. Just don't go beyond the line. That's going to look ugly. And the mailing list. So all the email mailing list that you have here under contacts, all the lists that you have of people that you contact, they will all be listed here. So in this case, we haven't listed all of them. Some of them have been deactivated, some don't have the necessary permission. So we've just highlighted a few mailing lists that are important. So you can see all of them listed here. So you choose which list all these people from this chat window on this particular landing page or website should be added to. And once you do that and save it, that's done. So anybody who goes to the website and clicks on this chat window, they will be added to the mailing list automatically. Simple as that. So that's found under settings, websites. Click the website name where this is going on, live chat widget, chat window, fields. So we have seen how to set it up. So after that is done, what happens is you see visitors on your website, all of them. You see, you want to find out how they got to your website. You want to see if they came to your website from an email campaign, for example. So if you click on any visitor here, you can see all the email campaigns that were sent to them. This is one sample. I can actually show you something here. So you can see this person, the recent email campaign that was sent is right here. So you can actually see what kind of marketing attempt was made to contact this person. So now that I've seen this person has received information about this campaign, when I chat with them, I'm probably not going to talk about that. Or if I feel that they haven't checked the email out, even though they've received it, I can probably include that in my conversation. Encourage them to check out the email. So that's one sample you're looking at here. This is on the visitor's online screen. And this is on the chat window. So when a chat comes in, as you can see on the left side, this is where your agent types in the responses to the visitor. They can see all the email campaigns that were sent to this visitor on the right side. So you launch something new and the person is asking possibly something related to that, but seems to have gotten the message wrong. You can just look at what campaign was sent, and in the next screen, if you click the campaign, you will be able to see the campaign's information itself. So in this example, let's assume the visitor says they were promised a discount of 80%. What the agent would have otherwise done is they should have gone to Zoho Campaigns and checked out the email themselves. But most of the time, they may not have the privileges to do that because not everybody in your company needs to access every other Zoho app. In this case, they don't have to do that. They can check that information right from here. So they know that the discount that was promised was not 80%, but just 30 to 70%. This is just an example. There will be certain situations where the visitor visits your website well after the deadline for availing the offer. Again, they can take a look at the campaign itself by clicking that, and they don't even have to leave the chat window. So that's pretty efficient. And the visitor history section. Everything that we saw so far was for looking at information or for visitor when they are currently on your website. But in this case, this works when they are no longer on your website. As you can see in the highlighted section, when you click a visitor, you're able to see what campaigns were sent to this person and when. So I'll just show you an example here. Let me close this, go to visitor history. If there are any visitors here who have been sent an email campaign recently, that will show up here. So you can see the last email campaign that was sent was this one, webinar test link. So same thing that we have shown here. So the question comes up that, SalesIQ allows you to engage with visitors when they're still on your website. You have people coming in from an email campaign, you have people coming in from a social media marketing campaign, maybe from another website for that matter. You can engage with them live when they're still there. But what about when they're no longer there? After they leave your website, is there any way that you can contact them? So that's what we're going to look at next. It's something that people have asked us a lot. So, and it's also one of the least used SalesIQ features. People don't realize that this feature exists, that SalesIQ is not just about live chat, it's also about email follow-ups. So we're going to see how that's done. So look at this very carefully. I will slow it down and demonstrate it to you. So what's happening right here is you can see in these conditions, you tell SalesIQ that when a person is on a particular page and then he leaves from that page, they are supposed to be added to a particular mailing list. And once they're added to the mailing list, you can then send them a follow-up email, probably telling them something related to what they last saw. So if I am on your pricing page and I leave your pricing page, then I can be made to receive an email, probably offering better discounts, better rates, a special follow-up, something that will induce me to get back to your website and to at least try something out. So let me just show you that. This is done under the intelligent trigger capability. That's under settings, automation, intelligent triggers. Now, intelligent trigger mostly is associated with a chat capability that you use to engage with visitors when they are still on the website. But this newly added feature allows you to contact them long after they have left the website. So you go to intelligent trigger and you add a new trigger, change the first drop down to the last option, leaves my website. So once you do that, you then decide whether you're going to want to add every single person visiting your website or just people doing certain things. Let's say if I want to only target people from Canada after they leave my website, I can do that. If I want to target leads who have been to my website from a certain state, maybe, you know, or it could be people with, well, what can we say? There's so many things you can do. People from a certain company, then, you know, people from a certain company who visit your website and then leave. You want to email them, you can do that. Or if you want something more targeted, let's say they are on the pricing page. I'm just copying the URL and putting it here. So when a visitor is on my pricing page and they leave my website after that, then I can add them to a mailing list, the last option here. As soon as I choose that, it allows me to either add them to an existing mailing list so I can follow up with them. So I have different things here. So somebody visits my website or the pricing page, I can just add them to something related to that. Or I can create a completely new list and give it a name and decide how often the list should be updated. Once I've done that, the person is going to show up here in that list that I created. Okay, let's just say it's this one. They're going to be listed here. So some of them are actually real customers, so I'm not going to show their email addresses, but just to demonstrate, this is where you will have them all added up. So once you have them here, you can then email them, you can then contact them, you can see what emails have been sent to them in the past, all those things. If you already have an email ready, you can just follow up with them and inform them about the new capability. So it's as simple as that. So that marks the completion of what we saw today. Just to give you a rundown, we saw how to integrate SalesIQ with Zoho Campaigns. We saw how to send out emails from Zoho CRM with a tracking link to track visitors with their names and email when they come back to your website. We saw how the same thing can be done with other email campaign services like MailChimp and so on. We also saw how to use the chat window to sign up visitors to your website into a newsletter or any other mailing list. And then we finally saw how to add visitors who come to your website to a separate mailing list. So you can then, maybe at the end of the day or at the end of the week or just before Christmas or Black Friday, whatever that is, send them an email. But before sending them an email, you need a list of contacts. That part SalesIQ takes care of. All you need to do is design the email, fill up the content, and hit send. And all those people SalesIQ collected data about are going to get those emails. And all of those people are going to come back to your website. So that's going to increase your revenue and conversions. And remember, you didn't spend anything extra. You're using existing applications to do all of this. We are not encouraging you to purchase anything new. You're just using the existing setup, but you're using it more efficiently, and that's going to make you more profitable because the return on investment is suddenly going up.